The Lebanese resistance movement Hezbollah says it has fired a squadron of attack drones on an Israeli maritime site as its anti-Israel operations escalate. In a statement, the movement said it attacked the Ras Al Nakura site, accurately hitting buildings used by Israeli officers and soldiers, causing confirmed casualties and destroying part of the site. The statement said the operation was carried out in support of the steadfast Palestinian resistance fighters in Gaza and in response to the Thursday Israeli attack on the Lebanese town of Derkiva that killed a Hezbollah member. The movement has been launching anti-Israel operations since October 8, a day after the Gaza resistance launched its Al-Aqsa Storm operation in reaction to escalated Israeli violence against Palestinians under the extremist cabinet of Benjamin Netanyahu and repeated desecrations of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Hezbollah escalated its anti-Israel operations last week after the regime killed a senior commander of the movement, Taleb Sami Abdallah. Concerns have been growing over the past week about a wider conflict in the region as some Israeli officials have threatened to launch a war on Lebanon. On Tuesday, the Israeli military said that plans for an offensive in Lebanon were approved and validated. The same day, Hezbollah published a video showing drone footage it recorded over northern parts of the Israeli-occupied territories, including parts of Haifa's city and port. On Wednesday, Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah said no place in the Israeli-occupied territories would be spared our rockets in a war, and also threatened Cyprus with attacks in case it assists an Israeli invasion of Lebanon. On Thursday, Hezbollah said it fired dozens of rockets at an Israeli barracks in the northern part of the Israeli-occupied territories in retaliation for a deadly airstrike in South Lebanon. A spokesman for Yemen's Ansarullah Popular Resistance Movement says the country's drone industry and military capabilities have rapidly advanced, vowing that the retaliatory operations conducted in support of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip will continue until the Israeli aggression stops. Mohammed Abdul Salam, who is also the head of the Yemeni National Negotiating Delegation, told the Al Mayadeen television network on Thursday, Yemen has achieved what was impossible and benefited from the experience of some of the nations of the axis of resistance in manufacturing. Yemen's drone industry has become very advanced, he said, adding the country also made progress in the manufacture of ballistic missiles and the technical, logistic and intelligence capabilities. Referring to Yemen's pro-Gaza operations, the spokesman said they achieved its goals at all levels, including distracting the Western allies of Israel, the US and the UK. Abdul Salam noted that the US-Britain attacks on Yemen aimed to protect Israel after Sana'a conducted effective operations against the Israeli ships and Israel-bound ships. He, however, downplayed the anti-Yemen attacks, saying they target areas that have been hit dozens of times during the Saudi war that launched in 2013, stressing they will fail as they failed in Gaza. The Yemeni spokesman vowed that his country's pro-Gaza operations will continue until Israel ends its aggression on Gaza, despite the great pressure exerted on Yemen. He stated that Yemen received messages from the US through some mediators stating that it doesn't seek expansion of the conflict, but Ansarullah leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi said, "Whoever seeks no expansion of the conflict must stop the Zionist aggression." He added that Yemen also received threats of economic restrictions after the anti-Yemen attacks failed to stop the retaliatory operations. However, he said, "We can't abandon our stance unless the aggression on Gaza stops. We are ready to halt our special operations if the criminal aggression against the Palestinian people ceases." Since October last year, the Yemeni armed forces have been launching attacks on targets in the occupied territories and targeting ships in the Red Sea with owners linked to Israel or those going to and from ports in the occupied territories in solidarity with the Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip. Israel launched the war on Gaza on October 7th after the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas waged the surprise Operation Al-Aqsa Storm against the occupying entity in response to the Israeli regime's decades-long campaign of bloodletting and devastation against Palestinians. Tel Aviv has also blocked water, food and electricity to Gaza, plunging the coastal strip into a humanitarian crisis. Tel Aviv has also blocked water, food and electricity to Gaza, plunging the coastal strip into a humanitarian crisis. Since the start of the offensive, the Tel Aviv regime has killed at least 37,431 Palestinians and injured tens of thousands more. Israeli troops have carried out yet another massacre in the Gaza Strip, killing at least 101 people in refugee camps and residential areas over the past 24 hours, the health ministry says. One airstrike on houses in the Al-Shati refugee camp killed 24 people on Saturday, according to the director of the Gaza media office. Another 18 Palestinians were also killed in a strike on houses in the Al-Tufa neighborhood, said Ismail Al-Thawabta. The regime's forces, the health ministry said, killed at least 101 Palestinians and wounded 169 in the latest 24-hour reporting period. A number of victims are still under the rubble and on the roads, and ambulance and civil defense crews cannot reach them. Palestinian resistance movement Hamas released a statement saying that the regime will pay the price for their violations against Palestinian people. Hamas also called for more effective action from the international community to force the occupation to stop its crimes and violations. This is the highest daily death toll in Gaza since the regime's forces killed at least 274 Palestinians in an attack on the Al-Nusayrat refugee camp on June 8th. This is the highest daily death toll in Gaza since the regime's forces killed at least 274 Palestinians in an attack on the Al-Nusayrat refugee camp on June 8th. Israel has killed at least 37,551 people in Gaza since it launched its genocidal war on the territory on October 7th, said the health ministry on Saturday. The ministry said 85,911 people had also been wounded in Gaza since then.